like to joke that I've lived 100 lives in this one lifetime. From an off-grid cabin in the woods, to van life, to an apartment in the city, to dorm rooms, to my current 12-acre farm. I've lived in so many different states: California, Oregon, Vermont, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado. And I could call even more states home when I was traveling full-time in a van and also in a camper. Sometimes I find it hard being in the present because I can't help but to look at the big picture of things. I've gone through so many changes that change seems to be the norm, and the moment seems to be the temporary transition. I've mastered the art of detachment and somehow have still managed to enjoy the journey. I've managed to fall head over heels in love with big adventure and movement and change, while also falling head over heels in love with slow living. With grounding, with connecting with the trees, the garden, and growing my own food, having animals surround me. And I've already noticed I'm passing down this love of adventure, yet love for slow connected living down to my little ones. We have been in this home for nearly 5 months, and we feel the jitters coming on of many adventures to come. But this journey of making this place a home has been a transformation and a journey in its own. I've always had a love for farm life. Even as a small child, I begged my parents for chickens, a goat, a pig, and even some ponies. I would spend all my time amongst the forest, the trees, and hanging out with the animals. I was never much of a people person, but maybe a plant person, an animal person, a book person. And I feel like being in this home has given me a chance to hug that inner child again, to fall in love with reading and slow days and time with the animals and sipping tea amongst the trees. I often think about how we are so commonly trying to please our adult selves, trying to make ourselves proud. But what about that inner child? Are we really making them proud, but putting in those extra hours of work? When's the last time that you've played? When we first moved here, I felt like play was nearly impossible, which was ironic because it was basically the reason we moved there, to have more room for play, more time to slow down and do the things we enjoy. But when we got here, things were a bit in shambles. I had so much to do to get us moved into the home and to get the home livable. I noticed myself rushing about getting all the different tasks done. And one day I was rushing to do the dishes and cook breakfast for my girls, and I looked up out the window. The sun was rising and the fog was sitting on the trees, and I took a deep breath and realized I was here to slow down. Why am I rushing, turning this house into our home? This is a slow, gentle process. And from that day forward, I took the time to make sure we played. We started going out in the forest every single morning to watch the sunrise, to say good morning to our neighbors' cows, to look at the different bugs that were out. And it never ceases to amaze me how when we let go of control and we stop trying to rush, suddenly things are getting done more efficiently, with more ease, with less resistance, and slowly, little by little, but also really quickly, because it was only a few months, we got our home really feeling like home. And once we really felt like this was our home, we dove into making it our homestead, starting to work little by little on garden spaces, bringing chickens to our homestead, bringing goats to our homestead, turning the empty garage into a barn, welcoming our sweet little puppies. I often joke that I've lived 100 lifetimes in one life, and I can't help but to wonder how many lifetimes I'll live at this old, little farmhouse on 10 acres. How many times I'll wake up feeling brand new, having realized an old version of me has died, no longer feeling needed to defend herself or stay overly strong or to push the boundaries by exhausting herself. Being a solo mama is challenging, to say the least, but I notice it's pushed me to grow in so many ways. I've learned the art of self-care, not just taking a day to myself, but being able to show my daughters what real self-care looks like, to sit in front of them and to meditate, to make delicious fresh food from scratch, to dance around the kitchen instead of sobbing, although it's okay to cry sometimes too. We've made this house a home and a homestead. And I wonder if my children will grow up here, or if they'll be off on new adventures soon. I wonder how long these trees will stand, and if I'll see any of them fall. One of the things I truly love about farm life is being so close to the cycles of life. There is no avoiding or not coping with the true cycles of life, with the reality that life is truly short. And we shouldn't waste our time doing things that aren't truly bringing us joy, rest, wellness, recuperation, or just building the version of ourselves we hope gets to see the majority of our days. We still have a long list of projects to do. The gardens aren't finished. The fences aren't finished. The chickens could use a better setup. The kitchen could use some paint and some more sanding and some more cleaning. And that will all be a part of the journey. But I think the main focus is creating this space that feels like a safe home. Many of the lives that I've lived didn't feel safe. They didn't feel comfortable. They didn't feel like home. And even if this isn't my forever home, I will always know that this is exactly where I was supposed to be, to heal myself, to allow myself the space to be present in a safe space. So many of us do not feel safe because our worth, our time is tied up into productivity. We feel like we have to be rushing, we have to be on edge, or we are not worthy. I haven't been a perfect mother. I don't think I ever will be. But I do look at them and see that they value their play. They value their rest. They value their own opinions. And sometimes it's even challenging for me to see that their worth is not at all tied to their productivity. And I have to remind myself, they don't care. It doesn't matter. And there's a reason they don't care, because life is not about being productive. Life is about being. So we'll spend our days baking brownies, and we'll spend our days with little baby chicks and talking to the chicksons and observing the ducks. We'll spend our days playing amongst the trees and in the meadows. Because even when you live 100 lives, your time is still limited, and your time is valuable above all else. So choose wisely how you spend it. Yeah!